Right, we're switching over now to Tyler and Mike, who are going to be demoing for the second time their motion to vacate default judgment in the housing context. This has gone through a first round of kind of a more informal demo than Vinny and Mia went through. Thank you, David. So it wasn't really, there wasn't feedback from everybody. And what I'm really looking for here, guys, is feedback from the team. And as I said, I'm not going to call on anybody because I'm not that kind of law lecturer. I'm not actually a law lecturer at all. So we can just, but I would really appreciate it if people, bye Kate, I would really appreciate it if people could give some thoughts, give some comments if they see something, you know, bye David. See something, say something, okay. Right, so let's go, guys.
Just give me a okay. Right. So this is first access project. This is our first page.
Okay, and there were some edits that were done on this page, right? I think some of the language was changed.
I think mostly just me misspelling the word judgment, but that's about it.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks okay.
I haven't pushed my language edits for this because I would get a merge conflict, and that's what I was hoping we'd do in Teaching Tuesday today.
Right, okay. That's a good idea, Caroline, you mentioned that. So just a reminder that, sorry, I completely went wrong there with the language. Right now we're looking for logic, we're looking for style. Language is more specific, and Caroline has already done some language changes that she's going to push, and we're going to go over those just now. Okay, so this looks good.
Oh God.
The one thing I might say is it's not necessarily consistent with the way we're using headings in other screens. So this might actually be clear, but we should think about how to keep it the same. And so then and then the capital letters at the bottom, I think those are a little hard to read. I don't know if that counts as readability comments or not, but all caps writing.
That's more of a style thing, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm also just,
yeah. Sorry. Go, Mia, go, say something.
Okay, just at the last line, it says to get started, press continue, but the button is a next button, so that might also be like a small language stuff.
Something that I, first of all, I tend to say tap instead of click because people might be using different devices. And another thing, I say something like tap to continue or tap to keep going.
And in this, actually, I think in this context, you don't have to say anything.
I would just take it out too.
Yeah, just take it out completely.
Yep.
So, okay,
so this is language. I sort of feel like maybe, okay, people, maybe people not on project management could chime in on language, but otherwise skip language because
okay.
Yeah.
That kind of thing that Mia saw there, that's something that, you know, I missed. And I think that that's just an example of the benefit of having a number of eyes on this. So as I said yesterday, the thing that we're going to try and do is try and come to clear conclusions of what we should do or clear suggestions. And I think in this case, the suggestion was just to remove that line. But it's also something to bear in mind that if you do refer to if you do refer to elements in your interview, just make sure that the elements are referred to correctly. But I think in this case, you don't actually need to refer to that. And then just looking at the that first page with the headings and stuff, perhaps what Quentin was saying is we shouldn't have a sub-question. You shouldn't have a sub-question there, right? It shouldn't be a bolded.
It shouldn't be a heading. The sub-question shouldn't have a heading in it. So basically your question is your heading.
Right. Okay.
At least the style that we've used. I mean, so I think for now it's best to keep it consistent, and we can always revisit it.
Yeah. And so basically Caroline's thing going forward is that the project management team, we're just going to take notes of our language suggestions. Everybody else, please jump in with your language suggestions if you see something that looks like it could get changed.
Hold on 1 second. Sorry, guys. It's just taking a second to load for some reason. Or more than a second, actually.
What did everyone get up to on the weekend? Anything crazy?
In DC.
Yeah? You survived?
Oh yeah.
Thrived, it sounds like.
Chicago coming up in another week or so, so I know you're excited about that.
Mark, oh Mark. Okay, right. Back on the demo. Okay, I can see both Tyler and Mike. So Mike, just chime in when your internet allows you to. So we've kind of come to decisions on this. Oh, judgment is spelled wrong there, guys.
The worst flaw as a human being.
Look, I mean,
We should start tailing how many times Maeve has to tell us that.
No.
well,
Well,
into a drinking game.
yeah, it's very annoying. It's like the your and your thing. Just can't figure it out.
Okay.
Okay.
This could be a good place for a picture. I think we were just talking about that on our
Yeah.
admin call yesterday.
So this would be an image of what that notice would look like. Is that notice pretty consistent?
Yeah, it's going to come from the sheriff. So yeah, it's very consistent. The court would give it to the sheriff to then deliver.
And then I know this is a readability thing and it's coming from project management, but just no forward slashes or backward slashes, rather just say or. I think I'm correct in saying that, Caroline?
Yes.
So everyone on
And
the
then
call.
one more tip. It might make it a little shorter because I think it's hard to read that much headline text. So I would say like try your best to keep it to one line, but 2 is probably okay. 3 starts to get a little long to read that much.
Okay.
I
Can we
might,
just say
My
your
edit
phone?
that takes care of that.
I might
Okay,
say,
so I should stop saying that kind of thing. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's
really
another
think
language for
you
now.
guys, I think Michelle, Quentin, Maeve, all get readability, and I think other people need to learn it a little bit more. So
Okay, so if you guys are not on
and
project
Other people
management,
can chime in.
and what I don't know if I can push my readability branch today, but if we can use some of Teaching Tuesday to look at the changes, then people will see, and then if I miss stuff, then we can pick them up, maybe, because it's just a possibility.
okay.
I might try to take a note. Like that was one I don't think I had written down in our style guide, but I'll try to make a note of that particular thought and the one that you just said, Maeve.
No 3 lines and or try and
No
avoid
slashes.
3-line headings.
So let's continue. Let's let Tyler continue.
I like these prompts, I must say. These were really good. Because these weren't on the form, right?
Yes.
This is a basic question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even read it.
Sorry.
It just went so quick. Okay. Well, that's a basic question, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's also a basic question.
So this basically goes an infinite amount of times.
Just in regard to the last question, should when you say yes to this, and it asks for the other person's name, do you mind just clicking is anyone else filing? Or when you hit like, it didn't require the last name for that other person. Should that be a requirement? Like, should the
Yeah, you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yep.
like last name on this, should that be a required field?
I think I just changed this question. Oh, so yeah, like this is a really awkwardly worded one here. I don't even know how that made it out, but I just pushed a change, it's just waiting review.
Okay.
I think it also makes the last name required and makes the suffix a drop down just to keep that consistent. I think people just hadn't really used the screen too often, which is why it had been overlooked till now.
I'd also like to point out that the the question that says, you know, you have already mentioned so and so, is it intentionally also mentioning the user, or is that or is that unintentional?
I mean, it's a good question, but for now it is an intentional choice.
Okay.
It's one that I've noticed that and chose not to change, at least.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go. Do you want me to go no, or do you want me to do another one?
No.
Like I'm.
And
You're
just
good.
click no.
Yeah, we go on this gather for. You spend like an hour adding.
Go
people.
until it stops. Go until it stops.
You haven't amended this basic question either, hey?
I think the sub question here, is it supposed to be a question?
You can just click on the option, by the way. When it offers you those options, if you click on one of them, it'll fill out all the rest. Yeah.
Right.
What I think this is a basic question, right?
Yes.
So what Mia's saying is that the best way to say it? What address should the court use to mail papers to you? Is that, or should it be, this is the address that the court will use to mail papers to you, or something like that?
Yeah, the second one that you just said, Maeve, is what I was thinking, just because, I don't know, it looks awkward just being two questions, but I don't know. That's just my thought.
That's a comment for basic questions, so that we'll take to the higher ups.
Okay.
Quentin. A good thought though, yeah. Okay.
I think that just continues as well.
Just click next.
How long are we gonna be on this? But the thing is, because you guys have a docx form, it's quite nice to see them expanding, as opposed to PDF where you're gonna have to add addenda. Okay, what's the help text for the docket number? Is there help text? Can you?
Yep. It just tells them where on the paper that they received from the court they can find the docket number for the case.
I think there's in the defendant information on the 209A, when you have these little, when there's a little, when it's green text, if you also have that question mark, if you have a help there, I think I'm concerned about the accessibility of the green text. I mean, this is a whole doc assemble question, but at the minute, I think if we add the question mark, is it a question mark? It's like an icon question mark.
There's a little icon question mark. I can show it to you guys. I think that should be next to all green text.
Yeah, that's
okay.
Well, I think it should be next to all green text here. No, I don't think it should be next to green text in a paragraph. But when it's a field label, I think it should definitely be there.
Okay.
So, but that's what I'm saying. For this, I would add that.
Just a note, judgment.
The spelling is good, isn't it?
Nope.
No,
it's not. No, you're right. I'm trying to see teeny tiny. Sorry.
The converse is true though, because I always spell that when I'm spelling, like, you know, you have good judgment, I spell it without the E, and people are like, oh, can't even spell. Okay.
Another style tip that's just general is don't use a colon in the heading, in the question level. If we go back. So this is a title for the screen. Sometimes if there's no other text, it can be the question as well. But it's a title or it's a question. So here it's kind of playing the role of a field label with the colon, which I don't think really works.
Management isn't doing the language though, right?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Bad Quentin.
I'll stop.
Bad Quentin.
Sorry. One more idea for the docket number pop-up. I like the green button as a button for something that, you know, the teal.
Oh, the
help button.
So you
I
go
think
to
might
another.
be
Yeah.
We have an example of that on another screen.
I've got user research people, a couple of them, who said that like that is confusing because the navigation buttons are down there, and so when you press help, and then it also takes you out of the flow of the interview, which can also be a problem for users.
But our Bentley people also liked it, so that's we have to make a decision.
Yeah.
We also had user research people saying this is really good.
All right. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know what the people I talked to said. It's good. You have other
people don't always agree about this stuff, but I think the key is like the green text is hard. So if I think it has to be kept to things that you don't think people will always read. That's the problem. So we only have limited other choices.
Yeah. But these are things. I mean, we're going to have a sort of a battery of interviews, and then we're going to do user testing, and then we're going to form our own, then we're going to make decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is basic questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the specific courts: BMC, district, superior, and housing.
Yeah.
Sorry, you cut out. Say it again.
Oh, this is just a basic question, and those are the specific courts that you have selected, because something that was happening in ours, and I don't know why, is that we was obviously just redoing the civil action cover sheet in Superior Court, and for some reason, and we selected Superior Court, and it just was showing all the courts. So I just wanted to check if you guys had, but it looks like from that drop down, it looks like you got the courts that you were looking for. So next, I think. Sorry, just another thing that I'm noticing is that the questions that you guys aren't pulling in from basic questions don't have those question IDs. And it's just something that was flagged as something that's important for usability testing, because then they can identify which screen things are appearing on. So maybe just, you know how to do it. You just put ID : above the question, and then just a description of what it is. Wait, where did that come from? Was it there before?
What?
So it wasn't there before. It looks like it hadn't loaded. If you don't have an ID, it should say ID null. So it shouldn't be not there at all.
Right. Okay. No. Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, because I added all the IDs last time that we met, so I don't know.
I was just loading. Sorry.
I'm just noticing the capitalization in the second sentence of the sub question. You have answer capitalized, but in the main question and then the first sentence you don't. So just like consistency. I don't know if anybody else has a comment on that.
I know it's like more formal, but I think like a lowercase is, I don't know. Does anyone have thoughts on what it should be? Lower or upper?
For answer?
Yeah.
Isn't that a legal thing? Isn't that a legal question?
I had actually gotten this from Gordon when I met with him, and that's how he wrote it, so I just went with him. So.
It's really a style thing, so it's like if you want to kind of draw attention to it to show it's a term of art without.
Right.
Yeah, I tend to, when I'm talking about answers that you file, I capitalize answers equally. When we talk about child support, I capitalize the first letter in child and support, because child support is I guess as Quentin says, is a term of art, but it's a real thing. And if you were to translate child support into other languages, it wouldn't mean child support. So I think that's when we're talking about answers, child support, then you would use uppercase the first letter. I argued with my family law editor about this for years.
Okay, sorry, Eric?
Is that because it's a proper noun?
It's not. Well, you could almost say it's a proper noun, because an answer means something in the legal context. If you say to your kid, "Give me an answer," that wouldn't be uppercase, right? So I think a proper noun is probably the best way to think about it. If you think about it, the proper noun is the name of that pleading or whatever you call it, that form. That's probably a helpful way to think about it.
Okay, so capitalized. Decision made.
So equally, like when you're talking about motions, you can file a motion for this or a motion for that versus the motion to vacate. So motion to vacate would be capital M, capital V. But if you're talking about motions in general, you know, like pro se people file all kinds of motions, then, or somebody's harassing you by filing all kinds of motions, those motions would be lowercase because they're not a specific motion.
Okay. I like that you still fake the signature. And like Mia, he's just over it now. It's just.
I'll throw in a smiley face sometimes.
Can I sign for you, Mike?
Of course.
Nailed it. Okay, sure. So again, Caroline, this is something that you're going to do your readability stuff is?
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing the information that you guys put in. This is looking, I mean, yeah. Oh, I see, yeah. So original motion, that's the capitalized M. And you're on, okay, I can see why that's capitalized, yeah. Okay. Anyone else have any comments on this?
I'm just a little bit curious. Oh, this is for the certificate of service, right? Bring your answer if you're about to. So why in this, if you've got a notice of removal from a sheriff or constable, please fill in the information in section 9. Why don't you ask them questions about section 9?
I mean, we could have it so that the information from section 9 is filled in already, because most of it is pretty much just name, date, whatever. But I mean, yeah, we could add it to the interview. I just had it like this and no one told me to change it yet, so.
That's why we have these demos, so.
Yeah.
So how would you suggest doing that, Caroline?
Well, I would, I think this goes back to, I asked a question on Thursday and Mike answered it Thursday night. I didn't see it till yesterday morning. In one of the second or third questions, it's kind of out of the blue. Did you get a notice from a sheriff or constable?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not kind of connected to anything. I mean, you don't really know why you're being asked that. You don't know what's going to happen. And Mike explained that there's a section on the form. So I think there should be a little bit more on that question about why what this has to do with anything. And then if you did, I haven't got the form. My older version has broken, so it won't go past a certain question. But then you ask the question so you can fill in section 9, whatever section 9 is. Maybe we can, when we get to it, then when you get to it, we'll bring the preview and the form up, and then we'll have a look at it and we'll see what questions you would ask.
Anybody else? No.
Next steps. Oh yeah, this is where you did a really good job here on the instructions. I remember this.
Yeah.
This is, go ahead.
There's a PDF.
Sorry, is this,
I think below you can download a PDF.
Is this going to get submitted to court directly ever?
I don't think we have it set up for that.
Okay, so that's
We might be able to, at a good place, to just send it to the court and see what they say. It wasn't on the original list, if I remember. Or maybe it was. Maybe it was you. Oh, David's not on to answer. I think yes. I think we can submit this to the court.
Okay, so then we want to add that submission to court page, and I know that there's a video on YouTube with Mia. I think she was walking Sinead and Finola through the docx, adding that submission to court, kind of finishing carpentry in a docx form. So that would be something that you guys can add. It's basically a copy and paste, I think, of a certain.
What's the video called?
I'll just link it. It's specifically, I think it's called like Mia walks Finola and Sinead through adding YAML to docx or something like that. So, guys, I am no influencer. I can't come up with these YouTube names, like clickbait. It was kind of the three of them or the two of them kind of working through how to get that code in there. Quentin, would I be correct in saying that it's the same code block for regardless of whether it's docx or PDF? And then you just change the attachment name?
Yep. So yeah, it is. I think there's like a little bit of extra step if you want to combine a cover page with the final attachment to make that downloadable, but it's generally the same thing.
Okay.
Also, I think we're probably at a higher level. We need to sort of decide across the board how we're going to do this, because the user's going to download something with their own cover sheet. If they can send to the court, if they can send through mass access to the court, they're going to have a cover sheet for the court. If they're not going to send to the court through mass access and they're going to have another way, we need to sort of think about, this is the court copy, this is your copy, something about that, because Kate pointed out it's difficult for people to split PDFs, and we don't necessarily want to be sending the cover sheet to the user, to the court. So we need to, that's kind of a workflow thing we need to figure out for, so that all these people are like, people like Mike and Tyler don't have to figure this out for themselves. So, and from one interview to the next, we need to have a sort of a guideline about how we're going to do this.
Okay. Okay, so that's something that we need to fix on our end.
Looks like Finola just raised her hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if Mike and Tyler wanted, like if they had any questions when they're doing the cover sheet, they can just message Sinead and I, and we can help out as best we can with how we did it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a really good, thank you so much for that help, Finola.
I'm happy Finola said that, because I don't think we were able to successfully get it done. I think they did, and Finola, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think you had to contact Quentin for like the final step in that process in order to make it work.
So then oh yeah, I'm looking at the description that I put in. I said like, didn't work in my YouTube description.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So,
we got there in the end. So.
What we could do is we could have a call set up with Sinead and Finola, Mike and Tyler, and then you guys could show and record that and show Mike and Tyler how to add in the that final bit of code, and then we can put that on the YouTube video on the YouTube channel and say like, works.
Can we wait till we make a decision about how we're going to do the thing with the various cover sheets?
Yeah.
So that video could be really useful. Because otherwise it won't be wrong, but maybe it's not going to follow what we decide we're going to do. And so then people are going to have to do it again. Because what happens if there's two cover sheets? What happens if there's two attachments? Are we going to have one long attachment? How are we going to, I think we really need to think through that.
First,
I said problems arise while adding this code in the video. I'm gonna put that in there. Okay. Yeah, Caroline, I think that's a good idea. So we need to make a call from the admin side of how we're going to be doing this.
Did Mia try to say something?
I think she did.
I added it.
Not again.
Not again.
Yeah.
Okay. I added it to the developer list of things to discuss. I'm starting to collect that on the Trello board. I don't know where there is another one, but can't keep track of the documents anymore. So
was that like an agenda for Mondays, or is that?
It's remember we talked about there's going to be a guide. Like we wanted to have discussions about various topics for coding, for programming. So that can be in that thing, or it can be in the style guide or whatever discussion we want to put that in. I think it's good to keep going with Tyler for now, though. I just wanted to let people know that I'd added it there.
Okay, thanks.
And we wanted to see question 9 too as well, right?
When we get to, oh yeah. It's over there. No, that was, oh yeah, that was the. See more information.
Did you want me, sorry, did you want me to go back?
Can we look at your PDF?
So I will say that section 9 only appears if you click yes to the question about receiving a notice from a sheriff or constable.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what Tyler clicked, but it might not be in this.
Right. If you, oh, there's, where is it? It says if you, where is it? I just saw it in the instructions.
Right there. Oh, here we go.
Just, can you wiggle your mouse over it? I'm not seeing it. Oh, right
What you're talking about?
If you received a notice from Sarah, fill in the information required in section 9. So if you scroll down, is there a section 9?
Yeah, I don't know if you should have that there if you don't actually have a section 9.
Yeah.
Right.
There we go. There it is, 9.
So what you're saying is that
right. So that, yeah, so this is part of your form. So this, you should ask these questions, and you shouldn't tell people to fill it in. It should just be filled in, and then it doesn't appear in the instructions at all.
So it should be, you should really add a question there. Is that what you're saying, Caroline? You should add a question that would populate that.
Yeah, because you already
or
said,
however
so
many
for
questions.
example,
Yeah.
Sorry, Caroline.
So in your interview, you asked this question about, did you get it? And then I think, it looks like you don't actually have to ask any further questions. You just populate this 9 with, you already know.
That's what
you already know all this. You already have all this information. You've already gathered all this information. So that information should just, and because you've got a docx, it's really easy to do. It's not like a PDF where you have to do.
Well, you do need the date and time.
I have a thought that throws a little bit of a wrench in this. So it might be an Annette question. I don't understand why this is all in one form, other than maybe it was easier for someone to hand fill it in. It should really be a separate motion with its own case caption.
Oh, right.
That's
it should
brought
be.
much better attention to the report.
Right. So what is this? Oh, this is not Annette. This is Laura.
Oh, Laura created this form?
Well, okay. Laura did the booklet, so I can. Okay. She's on vacation this week, so I can talk to her again about it.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I can tell you. I mean, it should just be a standalone motion.
I think you're right. I didn't realize it was a. You're right.
I can see why you would do this if you're trying to let people fill it out on paper easily and quickly. But we have all the same information, so it's no extra work to make another separate heading.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that the user is going to have to type in all of their personal information again, so they're gonna do a bunch of work all over again.
I think what you're saying is that it'll just
you have it one interview, you just have it a separate page.
Yeah,
you don't have to
a new case caption, a new
got it. Got it.
Not a separate.
No, that's a good clarification. Sorry, yeah, just like the 209A is 8 motions or 8 forms.
Yeah,
but one interview.
All right.
So is this something is this something we're gonna have to speak to Laura about when she comes back from vacation? Or is
I think we just made an executive decision. Yeah.
I think we just would change the form. This is not a official court form, and I really can see why it was done that way. I think there's some other MLRI forms that kind of follow the same style to make it easy to fit it in and for user to fill it out. But that does not matter for us. It's not a constraint. For the court, it's going to be much easier to have 2 separate motions because one's a motion for a stay, and the other one is, what's the title of the motion?
Motion to remove default and vacate.
Motion to remove default.
So does that mean that Tyler and Mike need to have 2 separate docx's and do a line break on their current docx to like make it look separate? So I'm just saying, what is the action item for Tyler?
I'm okay with asking another person just for their thought on it, but I feel like it would be a lot easier for the court to understand it if its own heading on its own page separate document, I don't think is as critical. I think it's better.
Okay.
So the simplest is probably just to put a line break in there and then use an if statement around it.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, it says they've got it. Yeah. They've got it at the bottom of their form. Yeah.
So you just add a line break
Another-
and then it's a new thing.
A question
See how
that
there's
I
a separate signature and date and everything? It kind of looks like maybe, yeah, it might have already been intended to be on a different page in the original formatting.
It's not.
Oh, it's not.
No,
Okay.
it's just at the bottom. So it's an easy to understand. You guys did exactly what the form is, so that's right. But I think that's what
formatting
Quinta's
is right,
point
but
is. They should be two different forms that you file at the same time, but they're just on
pages.
separate pages. Yeah.
A question that I just want to surface before I forget is that might be a question for us, but if the person is filling out, is both sending it to the court, maybe this specific form, if the person is filling it out, sending it to the court, do they still need to print 2 copies? Is that still an instruction that needs to happen?
No.
You're saying if they do it electronically?
If they're sending
If
it
they
direct,
submit
they
it
need to have a
electronically.
copy.
So they do
Right.
need to print 1 copy for themselves.
They don't need to, if it's going straight to the court from mass access, they don't need to print anything, but they need to keep a
Okay.
copy somewhere.
Sure, okay.
Guys, I'm really impressed with how you've done this. I think that
So they have to email it to themselves or something like that, yeah.
being a
Sorry, go ahead.
Being a doc exit was, you know, a really good shot at this. And I think that, you know, with just a tiny bit more tweaking on the suggestions that we've made, and then some language edits, this is looking really good. And then the addition of, once we've decided on how to do the cover pages, I think the addition of that, and then I would say good to send to court. If it's what they wanted, if it's something they asked for. Otherwise, we just don't have that.
Did you record this, Maeve?
Yes.
Us going through it? Okay, good.
Imagine if this is when you realize that you forgot to press record. No, I've got it. It's recorded. I'll upload it today. I think that I'm actually going to stop the recording now because this is the end of the demo. And then I'm going to start recording again for kind of like a teaching Tuesday.